guys, this is Jessica from Wandering Tent, and for a while now I've been wanting to work on a garden video, and I kind of wanted to show you the progression of the garden. This year is our second year doing the back to Eden gardening, and I really like it. I have only gardened before with tilling and you know, kind of weeding between the rows and that kind of thing. That's what I grew up with, and I really do like the back to Eden gardening. Obviously, I feel like it takes years probably for the real benefits to come through, as far as like you really improving your soil. I'm sure that you know, obviously you're continuing to improve your soil through the things that you add, but to the point where you've got that nice rich dark dirt, and you're not having to, you know, do that much to maintain it. I'm sure that it only gets better with time, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So probably one of the #1 reasons I enjoy it so much is the weeds. You know, the weeds are still there, but they're so much more manageable. They pop up, you know, you're able to pull them out easy. They're so much more manageable, and then just the mulch holding in the moisture too is really nice. So I'm going to flip my screen around and kind of just walk around the yard. Things are looking really beautiful. I will tell you, in South Carolina, I feel like it's hot as Hades. I think the heat index yesterday was 106. To me, that's very hot. Now, if you're living in Arizona, maybe that's not that hot to you, but the humidity is oppressive here. You can feel it when you come outside. You can feel the humidity. And I think that really makes all the difference. But I'm going to flip the screen around, and here's our front yard. You can see how green the lawn is. My husband does a good job, and quite honestly, we really don't do anything. We don't really do anything to it anymore. We used to put chemicals and stuff, but I've really not wanting to do any of that. Here's a fig tree that we planted last year. I don't know, half of it, I'm not quite sure what happened to one of the halves, but it's looking okay. It's gotten bigger. If you watched my videos from last year, in those videos, like, this front bed has been, oh, my husband weed eated it. Look at that. Apparently he got tired of it. This bed's been like the bane of my existence. It's covered in ground cover now, which is exactly what I wanted to happen. But I've been fighting these beds for about 8 years. You cannot keep the weeds out with this river rock. You just can't. And so I put this ground cover in that my stepmother gave me some of, and it's just really taken over, which is exactly what I wanted to happen. And it actually looks a lot better. He apparently did come in here and just weed whacked all the grass that was standing above the ground cover. Here's some rosemary I've had in that pot for several years. So one of the things that I did in the spring was I took out the rock in this other side of the bed. I had done one side last year, and then it's incredible how much rock was actually in this bed. But the difference between the rock and the mulch is absolutely unbelievable. There is a couple of weeds here and there in this bed, but nothing like it would have been if the rock were still here. It would be like that front bed that you just saw. So this is the part that I removed the rock last year and put the mulch in, and then we've got some roses here, and then I planted chocolate mint in here because I just wanted the chocolate mint to take over the whole thing. I was even willing to take out these roses and move them to another place just so that the chocolate mint could take over, because I'm tired of weeding it. This is just another bed with roses, and it has a little bit more weeds than the rest of them, so I need to get in there and weed it. So this is supposed to be like a herb garden. It's kind of turned into a flower garden versus herb garden. This beauty right here is some echinacea, and then there's a strawberry behind it. We've got basil and lavender, and then I have my grandmother's amaryllis. We've also got, we planted some sunflowers. This sunflower's really done the best. And then I've got some weeds in here too that I need to take care of. I have recently planted chamomile. I'm really excited about that. It's flowered. Just one little thing. Oh look, here's a dragonfly. Can you see it? It's hard to see out here with the sun shining. And I got some marigolds and other things. I started these raised beds last year. He fenced it in for me in the spring, and things aren't as big as I thought they would be by now. Like last year we had beans growing over the trellises and stuff, and it hasn't gotten to that point yet. Probably I planted a little too late, but we have tomatoes along this fence. They're doing okay. We've had some caterpillars on them, and we really need to work on doing a better job with getting something on those to keep the pests off. I got some beans over here on this end, and these zinnias have done amazing. I've got a potato box over here. I probably could use a couple more boards up and then more dirt, but I don't know if my husband's gonna get to that or not. We'll see. I've got beans here, and probably tucked away where you can't see, there's some thyme, some dill, there's some basil over there. It needs to be trimmed back. Then we've got some different varieties of squash. Honestly, I got to the point where I was just kind of sticking things in everywhere. So I actually have a gourd in here. I can't remember what it's called, but you know, it's the kind of gourd where you can make the little birdhouse. I thought that was neat. Some different varieties of squash. And then we've got sweet potatoes here. And then this is a pumpkin. I've never grown pumpkins before, but there's a pumpkin. And the corn, that's the biggest piece of corn we have. The corn's been on the struggle bus. I have tried to plant several times, and it's just really puny. And then there's lots of weeds in this one. I never got in here and really mulched like I needed to. And I've tried to replant this corn, and I'm probably at the end of that. So I will probably end up planting some different things in here. So I've got some leftover cauliflower that I never pulled out. We've got beans in here, and radishes, and sunflowers. I've got some sunflowers here, some cucumbers. Again, I was late, I think. And this cucumber is really just starting to take off. I've still got kale here. It still looks really pretty. I pulled up the rest of it, but I've still got some there. We've got pretty much a cucumber bed here, and okra over here, and onions on the end. This crazy mess of onions, that was some green onions from the grocery store, and that's what happened. And I kind of was just curious to see what would happen, so I let it go. So it looks like these beans are gonna crawl up the trellis. There's a tomato on the end. some okra at the very end. I kind of just started popping things in wherever. And thankfully I don't have a lot of different varieties of things, because it would have been very confusing to me, because I did just start popping things in. The things that I have around though are things that you can tell what they are. This is the latest bed. It's basically, I just put some black cow manure down and planted right in it. And so we've got cucumbers and beans going on in there, and I'm going to plan on putting a bed all the way down the fence line. I just haven't gotten there. Again, there's the tomatoes and their peppers. So these tomatoes are looking a little bit scraggly. I have broken off the lower branches in hopes of removing the parts that are messed up. I think that we really need to work on the neem oil and get these things sprayed. We had some worms that my husband took off, but they are producing. We've gotten some pretty tomatoes, and the peppers seem to be doing really well. So we're happy about that, because we haven't had too much success with peppers in the past. So these that we have right here are doing really well. So we're definitely happy about that. So here's the winter garden. You can see it's very barren. This is the old fence. This is what the garden used to look like. And here you can see, this is actually when I first planted the green onions, when I first planted the collards. We first got this part of the bed in and the dirt in. So this is really a nice before picture when we really started planting. Those are some radishes that we had. This is just, we were actually composting right into the dirt. Is the outside of the garden fence, and you can see the cattle panels are pretty much the same. We did add one extra cattle panel just at the entrance here. It is a new addition this year, and it actually looks a lot less cluttered without all of my my pots in there. But I pretty much killed all of my starters this year, which is kind of sad. I had lots of tomatoes. I pretty much killed them all except for one or two. I didn't get started early enough, and then I went and repotted them before they were ready, and I killed them. A lot of these here are sunflowers. All of these right here are sunflowers, and then I think we've got some squash back there and some cucumbers. And then I just set some of these things out. These were tomatoes. I killed them all. So originally this bed was going to be for herbs. I put some flowers in there, and here's the echinacea purple coneflower. There's 2 strawberries, and we've got some onions over here, and then I planted some basil. Got some lavender, again some more amaryllis. That one was absolutely gorgeous when it first bloomed, but I got some more coming up over here. And then we've got sunflowers, some sunflowers right here. So It's not really an herb garden anymore. It's more of a flower garden, but it's got some herbs in there. Behind me, we planted this Confederate jasmine, I think 2 years ago, and really it seemed very slow moving at first, but now I think it's really started to pick up. It started to bloom, and the bees love it. The garden is really, I feel like, transformed this year. My husband fenced it in for me. We've got some new raised beds in there, and I've gotten rid of most of the grass. Last year we started the Back to Eden method, mostly in raised beds. I haven't really done any hills with the Back to Eden gardening, but I love being able to squish out the grass out here. And to my left is where I have my tomatoes so far. And like I told you, I pretty much killed almost all of my tomato starts. So I have bought tomatoes. We found these drawers and decided to make raised beds out of them. So I've just got kind of different tomato types mixed in together, and I've left the tags so that I can remember. Like that one's a Beef Master. I tried to get all of them indeterminate, but honestly in the beginning I really wasn't paying attention to that. So I've got a pepper mixed in there. These are some cherry tomatoes. We got a Heat Master. I can't see that one's tagged from here. We've got, I think, some orange peppers and then yellow peppers down there, and another tomato. So a good part of the rest of the garden is pretty much a working process. We've got a zinnias here, and behind it we have a potato box. We're kind of behind the times here. Basically, you're supposed to, with the potato box, build up the sides and fill in with dirt as the plants come to the top of the dirt. We've gotten busy, and my husband hasn't been able to get to this yet, but I think he's going to work on it today. So I've got some dill and some basil and some thyme over here, and then some bush beans, and then various types of squash, zucchini, yellow, and I think there's some butternut over here as well. And then down here I've got some sweet potatoes, and I really need to read up on them. I don't know if it's the same concept as the white potatoes as far as putting on more and more dirt, but I should probably figure that out sooner rather than later. And then this is actually a portion he just put dirt in, so I gotta work on that. My first row over here, we've got some sweet peas, and I really thought that they were going to die out, but it's been a cooler spring here than what we're used to. I'm pretty sure normally by now they would have died, but they're still producing, so as long as they're producing, I'm going to leave them be. I got some bush beans at the bottom, some more flowers down here at the end. I don't know why I have a plastic bag there. We've got some beets and some flowers. And this is lettuce that I probably should have pulled up a long time ago. I know it's been kind of bitter. I don't even know if it's edible at this point, but I'm going to end up pulling that up this week and replanting some beans or something here. And then I see I have a lot of radishes that need to be pulled up as well. This is cauliflower. It never really did much, but I just really planted it too late. And I think this fall I'm going to really work on getting some fall crops in. Same thing over here. I've got some broccoli, and it hasn't really done anything. The kale still looks really pretty, but again, that's something that I need to get out of the ground. And this lettuce over here has gone to seed. I've never grown lettuce before, so this was totally new for me, but it's been interesting. But I definitely need to pick it sooner rather than later, because it gets very bitter. I've got some spinach in there, but it hasn't done well, and this bed really needs to be mulched a lot better than it is. Again, we got some broccoli. I actually do have some broccoli in this one. And then this one flowered, and I just let it flower to see what it would do. When it initially did, it was actually a lot prettier. And I see some little broccoli on here. I didn't see that before. This bed doesn't have anything in it. I've been struggling with ants, and trying to get rid of them naturally has really been a challenge. And then I've got some onions and some garlic over here. And this bed looks like it needs to be mulched more as well. I've got some green onions. This was just green onions from the store that we plopped in the ground, and I wanted to see what it would do, and they've gotten massive. More peas, and on the back side over here I've got collards. I don't know if they're still going to taste good, but my plan was, again, this week to pull all these up, maybe even do it today, and blanch them and put them in the freezer. So that's it so far. I've really just been kind of succession planting, not planting everything at once. Just because of work and kids and all that other fun stuff. But I don't know, I'm pretty happy. I'd like to get more of the things that we actually eat. I love collards and kale and that kind of stuff, but my husband doesn't like kale, and nobody else but my husband and I will eat collards. So I can only eat collards so many days in a row before I get tired of it. Everybody eats beans, so I'm planning on planting more beans. And there's tons of things that we can do with zucchini, so I'd like to plant some more of that as well. So this is the garden thus far. I've been happy with the Back to Eden gardening method because the mulch does keep the weeds down. And I just try to come out here at least for a little while every day and pick weeds. You know, it's definitely not perfect. I definitely have some weeds in these beds, but it's not overgrown like it might have been in the past. So, thanks for watching, guys. The first lettuce I have ever grown. Thank you guys for watching us. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you would, please like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff. Thank you. Have a great day.